Well, hello, my friends. I'm Jerry David Mulligan. This is the Mulligan Stew Podcast. A guest comes by today. Art Bergmann, Arthur Bergmann, punk poet, leader of such bands as the Schmorgs, the Young Canadians, the K-Tells, until the lawyers told him to go away because there was already a company called the K-Tells, and Poisoned, and then his solo career. Art Bergmann was, for many of us, Canada's punk prince. And he and Joe Keithley made a formidable pair. But they were different from one another. But they still were very much committed at leading the punk movement in Canada. I frankly, as I explained in the interview to Art, I had no idea I'd still be talking to him in 2022. I didn't think he'd make it. I didn't think he would ever make it. The book that Jason Schneider has written is called The Longest Suicide, the authorized biography of Art Bergmann. And Jason knows what he's doing. He's written for Exclaim, The Globe and Mail, Toronto Star, Paste, American Songwriter. We found him in Kitchener. We found Art Bergmann in Airdrie, his home for the last number of years. He lost the love of his life, Sherry DeCimbrini, and he's rebuilding himself now, somewhere between Airdrie and Vancouver. I think he might end up in Vancouver again. The thing about Art Bergmann is that the music business had no idea what to do with him. Because he was a hard ass. He was a tough nut and was very difficult to work with. He had a bad reputation, but that went with punk music. That's what punk was about. Anyway, he saw it out. His solo career slowly started to move in the right direction. And in terms of the business, let me give you an example. Art Bergmann, who had been dumped by Epic Records and Sony Music, the very same day that he won the Best Alternative Album at the 1995 Juno Awards for his solo album, What Fresh Hell Is This? That same day had cleaned up a very deadly heroin habit and occasionally could be found bussing tables at Rancho Relaxo on College Street to make ends meet while working on his next album, 98's Design Flaw. So the book has been released. It's called The Longest Suicide, the authorized biography of Art Bergmann, Jason Schneider, with a foreword by Michael Turner. And the most wondrous thing of all is that a couple of years ago, out of the blue, it was announced that Art Bergmann, Arthur Bergmann, was becoming a member of the Order of Canada. The leader of the Schmorgs was being knighted. A conversation with a man who I thought would be a ghost by now. Great friend. Loved the man. Art Bergmann. And I'm very happy to meet Jason Schneider. Way to go, Schneids. This whole interview, by the way, was Zoom videotaped and can be found on the Terry David Mulligan YouTube channel. Enjoy.
You got me?
I've got Art Bergmann. I've got Jason Schneider. And we are, because there's a camera involved, because we're Zooming, I'm holding up now for public consumption, The Longest Suicide, the authorized biography of Art Bergmann, all shiny and everything, with a foreword by Michael Turner. And that's where I'm going to start right now. The story of Art Bergmann's career is perceived by many to be a succession of failures. But the story of Art's life, ? If Art doesn't have the best story, it's always the most magical. Michael Turner, February 2022. I never saw it ever as a series of failures. I saw the failure to be in us to not perceive what you were laying down. That's me. After doing all
Are you confessing?
Yes, I am confessing. God damn. And I'll tell you this, I've done a lot of interviews in my time, but this one has caused me to confess to myself that the story's too big for me to do in a 30-minute interview, but I'm going to try my best. That's all I'm going to try to do. And thank you, Jason, for spending your life and time to put these words on paper and let us read them, Tell me, who pitched who? Did Art pitch you or did you pitch Art?
Well, well, the way it all kind of got started was I had been working as Art's publicist for the past 6 or so years, and Phil Kligo, who runs Art's label, he actually planted the seed with me about writing a book. And yeah, I thought, well, why not? It's, to me, it's the greatest rock and roll story never told up until now. So I pitched it to Art. We started having regular conversations, just talking about his life. And then I sort of went from there and started contacting people who've known him, worked with him. And yeah, over the course of maybe about 3 or 4 years, it all kind of came together. So, yeah.
And how much of the story did you actually know, Jason?
Well, I knew a fair bit. I'd actually written about Art in my the first book I did, Have Not Been the Same. That was when we first met, when that would have been like in the mid 90s, 1996 or so, when Art was living in Toronto. So I guess you could say it kind of dates back to then, when I kind of got started on it.
Did you have to pry him open with a can opener, or did he spill it out?
No, he was good, but
Okay.
but the reason I kind of decided, well, people will know right away when they open the book, that I decided to keep Art's quotations
Yeah.
separate from the
Yeah.
main text, just because you know, I feel like the way he speaks is unlike anyone else I've ever met in my life. So I wanted to really kind of convey his voice as accurately as I could.
Hey, Art, when
Hey,
there's a certain strength in living a life, the ups and downs, the ins and outs, but then talking about that life, revealing that life, sometimes can throw people for a loop. How were you with the reveals?
I'm always willing to tell the truth, as anybody who's listened to my songs closely knows. A book, yeah, the truth of the stories is actually stranger than the gossipy stories about me that aren't true.
How much did you forget?
I forget nothing.
No, come on. No,
It's
come
all
on.
here in my little black book.
Did you write everything down?
Who, me? Sometimes pages and pages of what happened, conversations, and it gets condensed and edited down into a song. So when the song is played, or I recall it, that I remember the story of the construction of that song. So I have a really accurate memory of what happened, when, and where,
I've had moments here,
even in the blackouts.
recently, where I'm looking at a photo and I'm in the photo, but I can't remember being in the photo or being with, for example, Joni freaking Mitchell. How could I possibly not remember being in the same room and doing an interview with Joni Mitchell? How do you forget
You were a sexist back then. You didn't. That's a joke.
Listen, all I'm saying is, were there moments in recounting this with Jason, did you remember things you'd forgotten about?
I'm sure I did. I haven't read the book for over a year.
Okay.
I couldn't read it after right after Sherry's death was the final edit, and I couldn't read. I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't not do it then. So, what was the question?
The question was, did you remember things that you'd forgotten?
I'm pretty good at having things suggested and then coming up with a story.
I don't know why you hang around with me. He's up a tree, had his glimpse of eternity. I don't know why we ride this train. Just slide sideways, sign said straight ahead. Is there something we lost by living so fast? Just makes the rain fall harder than the last kiss goodbye. this ain't going nowhere. You know those guns weren't heaven sent. Beware of the men who are waiting there. I don't know how love can be saved, but I know how we fail. Say goodbye to your second, goddamn your second. Goodbye to your Second Amendment. Say goodbye, say goodbye. Goodbye to your second, goddamn your second. Goodbye to your Second Amendment.
Jason, what part of the story, because there's a connection of stories, there's just this whole freaking life here. Where is the through line? Is it the music? Is it the man? Is it the world he created around him? Where is, if you follow one thread, can you follow it through to the end?
Well, yeah, no, I think it definitely is the music because, as Art just said, it's all about telling the truth, and that's what he's done, ever since he started writing songs, and there are quotes that I found actually from past interviews that he did talking about how songs, would be always come from real life, events and people he knew and conversations. And so, yeah, I guess, the through line is always, digging down as far as possible to get to the truth. And that's the heart of the story, I think.
What he said.
Okay, let me go back. Jason, I'll share this with you.
Sure.
My world was involved in much music and not Art's world. I was having, the stations that I was working for were not going to play Art Bergmann, but I loved what he was doing and I was fascinated by the man. And so I finally went to do an interview with Art, and I went down this back alley and down a set of stairs. I can remember it like yesterday. And he's in a dressing room that's meant for strippers. There's stripper stuff. There's underwear all over the place. I mean, he's going to be playing, but this is his dressing room.
This?
Never mind. And when I finished this conversation, as I'm walking up the stairs, I'm saying to myself, I don't know how he can survive this. I was fearful for his life. And this was years ago. This was a young Art Bergmann. And so my question to Art, and this is probably the second or third time I've asked you this, Art, how did you survive?
Being surrounded by women in a dressing room?
No, just your life, the gigs, the places you put yourself in. How did do you know?
Been tough. I just wanted to play music. I would go through hell and high water to play my songs. I'd play anywhere because look how we started in Vancouver. We had to get the Smiling Buddha to hire original bands because there was nowhere for them to play.
Yeah.
And same deal, like Hastings and Maine. It was a brutal environment. It still is. But the clubs that were available in those days were hardcore, low-end dives, shall we say.
And yes. That was your world. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
And I was worried about you then. I don't worry about you anymore. I think you've survived yourself.
Survived a lot.
I got to tell you, Jason, this is a great read. This is turmoil in a jar. It's every page you're thinking, how close is he going to come to shortchanging the end of his life. And
Well,
I think it's a celebration that he's here. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you again, Terry. Well, I mean, the great thing when when I was first laying out the book, it did feel like, there were distinct chapters in Art's life, and that sort of made it easy to kind of plan it. But yeah, well, I think you might have said to me at one point too that you felt like every 5 years or so you'd kind of cycle through, people and friends and collaborators, and yeah, I guess that sort of played into how I kind of structured the book as well.
Hey, Art.
Hey.
Were there times when you didn't feel at all welcome anywhere in the music business?
Yeah, I quit for 10 years, remember?
Yep.
2000 to 2009,
Yep.
10.
Yep.
I would say the odd show, but after the 90s, I think the what's the word? The crux or the cracker, shall we say, that informed me most was receiving a Juno for an album from a record company that dumped me on the same day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I kept playing through 99, put out Design Flaw. And then I didn't lose interest. I just said, this is too fucking hard.
Sure.
And moved to Alberta.
Of course.
And other reasons.
And a completely different, yes. Well, that was personal. That was family. That was,
yeah.
Those were decisions that were literally made for you because they're part of your blood. It's as simple as that, We're talking children and grandchildren and that. And you found your way. You found your way. Did music come and find you?
I think the push was Phil at WeWork. Well, he asked Great Lakes swimmer singer Tony what he wanted for his birthday, and Tony was a fan of mine and asked if I could come to Toronto and play a show with him for a birthday present, and that got me writing again.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And the Decker did a great thing. That he really did. He was a big fan of your music, and when someone when they gave him the opportunity to, who do you want on this stage with you, he suggested you, and and it made sense to him. Then it was somebody showed faith in you, somebody showed a character to step forward and say, yeah, Art Bergmann, that's the guy.
Boats in the water, mouth full of sea. Boats in the water, mouth full of sea. The old man was a refugee, Civil War 1923. Heard the bullets hit the train, leaving Russian Ukraine. Was it the Red Army or white? Anarchists, rapists in the night. Became a small C Christian communist. I swear he did it out of spite. He's lucky to die in his sleep, turn to dust of his own sleep. Entropy, will you lie still in peace? Walking out of Syria, history at shot full of holes, dragged back to the shore. Another prison for humanity. There's a baby on the beach. We refuse to reach. I know if you could, you'd drink up the whole of a muddy tyranny. We're lucky to die. In our sleep, turn to dust. Our own speed, yeah, entropy. Will we rise still in peace?
Bonjour, mon nom est anonyme. Je suis un réfugié. J'ai noyé en essai d'aller en Europe. Des chambres de nouvelles.
On to the fucking bone! Now we're all refugees, drift on a rising sea. Good boats in the water, miles full of sea. We're lucky to die in our sleep, turn to dust. Our own speed, yeah, entropy. Will we lie still in peace? Some water, mountain full of sea. Boats in the water, mountains full of sea. It's in the water, mountains full of sea.
Yeah, well, and I think that was another common thread with the book too. That everybody that I interviewed,
Exactly.
I've said this before, but everyone that I interviewed had nothing but the highest praise and love for art,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to be honest, that kind of surprised me. I was
That
expecting.
surprises me too.
I was expecting at least a couple people to say some negative stuff, but no, it was so I mean, I think the music it's touched a lot of people's lives. There's no doubt about it, and it still does. We look at the people right now who are doing everything they can to make sure that art keeps making music. It's because they want to hear it. They want to hear his voice.
Arthur?
Well, you talked to the right people. You didn't talk to the people I had to rip off when I was homeless.
True.
I mean, homeless is kind of touch and go down there. It's you do what you have to do.
Did you give any thought, Art, over the years to go back and re-record the entire catalog, or go back to those early albums and find a gem or two in there?
They're all gems.
Yeah,
but
of course
I
they
wouldn't
are.
re-record 12 with me, but because the demos that we made for that album blow that album away. So I wouldn't re-record anything. It's not my philosophy.
Okay. Yeah, but the philosophy changes I can never get. There's no guarantee that what you say today will be applicable tomorrow. By the time I run this thing, you could have changed your mind completely.
Regarding what? Which?
Everything.
Well, the truth is in the present. The past is.
No, no, give me that stuff. Come on.
What do you want to know?
Well, what I want to know is, what going forward? Would you
Yes.
would you go back and revisit some of those songs, or just keep because you
I
have?
don't need to. I'm busy writing new songs.
Okay, let me see. What do you got? Oh my God!
I have half a new album
How
written.
many of those books have you got?
Well, after Sherry died, I filled about six of them, but this last one's got 30 pages of lyric.
And so that's that. When you start to record and you start to do your songs, you go back to the book for the lyrics, and sometimes you combine a song from page 1 and song from page 9 together into one song.
No, I work on one song until it's done. So, hence this one here. Look at all that gibberish got turned into 5 beautiful verses here.
Nice.
Hmm.
Wow. Did you go through those books, Jason? Did you look at his lyrics?
This
No,
is
not
like
not those specifically, but luckily, there's some people on Team Art, we like to call ourselves, who've preserved all of his lyrics. They're online, so that was a good reference point for me. Um,
this is in the last couple of weeks, so he wouldn't have had a chance to see that.
Are you just is this a complete regenerative thing? Are you writing every day?
Yes, I've written a song a day in the last 3 days, and it's called Revivification.
Thank you.
Can you say it?
No, Jason. Jason, tell me about the interest in art now. I mean, you watched these over the years, and sometimes you've had to explain to a new generation who Art Bergman was. What's happened since everything, since he started to record again, and now the book and the Order of Canada?
well, yeah, no, I can definitely see. It's been a slow build, but Art's last 2 records, The Apostate and Late Stage Empire Dementia, they were both longlisted for the Polaris Prize, which was fantastic. I think now with the book coming out, I'm hoping that'll reach some younger people, and then with Art working on new material. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how things sort of play out next year. Yeah, and Art, he's said that he wants to get back doing some shows again. So yeah, I think now the time is perfectly right for people to be discovering him.
Hey, Art. Actually, Jason touches on something there. A new audience. Do you have the energy, the drive, the will to go and find a new audience, or do you want to play to the people what brought you?
I'll be out there in a punk wheelchair if I have to play a game.
Yes, but the audience itself. I was talking to Jim Cuddy just a couple of days ago, and they're at Mariposa, and he's on stage with Gordon Lightfoot, but he's looking down at the front row, and the front row is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, maybe 30 at the foot, and he's it got him to thinking about, well, who's this audience, and do they know who the hell I am?
The kids of his fans.
Yeah.
The kids of my fans come to my shows regularly.
But actually, basically, he said the same thing. He said they grew up in households with music, real music, and so that's what you're seeing in this next generation.
Yes, please.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I think the message in all of Art's songs right now are completely in touch with things that are happening in the world, and I think that's going to be the key to whether younger people kind of catch on to what he's saying. I mean, the last album was to me, I was blown away the first time I heard it, and of course, there's a song on there, Christo Fascist, that could have been the anthem of the last couple of years, just with all the turmoil and going on in America. I mean, it captured it better than any American songwriter I could think of.
It captured the dread is what it did.
Yes.
Yeah. I got to ask you a couple of things, Art.
Yeah.
As I wrote in March, I can't imagine a life without Sherry. Can you just tell people who are just discovering who you are and what you do and the words that you write and the songs you sing, what she brought to those words and lyrics?
I hope this is the last part of the interview, because it's been the last 30 years she's in all the music, right? She encouraged, critiqued, and gave lyrics. She's half of every song I've written in the last 30 years.
Yep.
And we didn't talk about it yesterday, so I hope this comes up in every interview, but here she is.
Man.
Miss her every second.
She walks these fields, hungry ghost, drinking sunlight, overdose, kiss of the syringe, cut through the scars, glimpse of heaven, cold night stars. People here can't see where they're going weird. They don't understand, they condemn and fear. She smiles, they demand her name. I'm the witch you burned in flames. There is no crack, let's in the light. There is no light to bridge this dark divide. Grief is the prize, you stay alive. Let's do it your way, our love hard critical. Even when pariahs in our film without a score, anything less, we kicked out the door. Were you bored? Love's what we're here for. There is no crack, let's in the light. There is no light to bridge this dark divide. Grief is the prize if you stay alive. What can I give? Finally relief. A song worth nothing, no one believes. A love larger than the national bore. Kill the world, bake for 1 second more. There is no crack that lets in the light. There is no light to bridge this dark divide. surprised. Stay alive. Grief is the prize when you wake. She walks these fields. She walks these fields. She walks the sky. Above fire. Wanna do it your way.
I'm just looking at this page, Jason, page 139. It's got a great shot, Alex Waterhouse Hayward shot of Art and Sherry.
Yeah.
And you down the bottom it says, yes, to many, Art Bergmann is a legend, although by its strictest definition, a legend cannot exist in the present tense. As long as he remains capable of facing a new day, the present for Art is, and always will be, tense.
Yeah, that was
That's
sorry.
your best line, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, any author can say that, the hardest part of writing a book is that, coming up with, the last line. And I really struggled over that. And obviously with Sherry's passing, I had to go back and revisit the ending of the book. And that was it was tough. And I'm grateful to Art for bearing with me and offering great support in what I was trying to capture right at the end. And through some struggle, I think I managed to do it. And thanks for pointing it out.
Thank you.
Okay. It wasn't the last question, Art. I've been trying to follow your, I think it's Instagram. I can't, it's just, there's too many stories going by a lot of people, but you came back to the West Coast. Do you intend to move here? Are you going to be part of our lives again over here?
I came back for, we had a big gathering for Sherry on the West Coast because that's where we decided to have it at my brother's place. But I'm in Sucks right now. I'm still in the farmhouse in Alberta. And slowly, perhaps I'll get there. But my headquarters are still here, but I have units working for me all over the country.
Did you like being back here? Did you bumping elbows with friends that you hadn't seen in a while?
Oh, are you kidding? It was glorious to see everyone again and get their arms around me. Physical proximity to love is
there you go.
There's no substitute.
And here's a serious question. I always ask you this: how is your health? How are you doing?
I'm in transition now from an intense state of being completely clean and sober after a lifetime of opiates and alcohol. So it's improving. I'm going to start swimming soon so I can play guitar on stage again.
Okay. I like the fact, Jason, that you in the book you talk about uh, 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 Joe Keithley becoming a counselor in Burnaby, and Art speaking to politics and getting the Order of Canada, and how perhaps one of the great offsprings of the whole punk movement is now showing itself in a counterculture voice, raising issues and shining light on crappy people.
Well, I think that's that's the responsibility of my generation at this point. I think I'm Gen X, and we're starting to see some progress. I mean, you look at a guy like Beto O'Rourke in Texas. I mean, he came up through punk rock. He's been trying to apply those beliefs to what he's trying to do down there. We're starting to see that more here in Canada. Obviously, we had Chuck Angus and Andrew Cash in Parliament. So yeah, I think we just got to keep fighting it, and there are people out there doing some great work.
What do you think, Art?
Keep fighting. I think the children of the world and Extinction Rebellion, the children of Kali will start a guerrilla movement to finally stop these polluters once and for all. It will be a exciting few decades coming if we don't fry ourselves first.
God's got an answer in that jukebox. I pick the wrong song every time. I know my song is in that jukebox, and I've been suckered for the last time. How could I be so silly? Now the evidence is here. How could I be faithlessly yours? God hid an answer in her body. I've been in the wrong room for so long. I found no questions in her body. I'm in the room where I belong. How could I be so silly? Now the evidence is in. How could I be faithlessly yours? Now that the evidence is in. Now that the evidence is in. God placed an ad in her paper, a cryptic clue without a crossword. How could I have known she worked that paper? The sweetest sound the world has heard. How could I be so silly? Now the evidence is in. How
Okay, I think I know where the last question is. Beto O'Rourke, as a matter of fact, is in the documentary being shot about Joe Keithley and his political career, which leads me to the question, where's the documentary on Art Bergman next?
A couple of fellows were starting on it and came out here. Alan Zweig, I don't know if you've seen his docs on record collecting for one subject, a pretty amazing filmmaker. But he was out here, wanted to get started on the doc on me. So hopefully that will be finished within my lifetime.
that was sort of what I was kind of told too. Yeah, Alan Zweig. Yeah, he's well known in Toronto and in Ontario. He's got a very distinct style with how he works, though. So I don't think he's gonna do anything based on the book. He really likes to get personal with his subjects. So hopefully that'll happen. But something I've always wanted to do as well is put together a real comprehensive, overview of Art's work. Whether it'll be a box set or something, or
okay.
If those still exist, but that's something that I really would like to do at some point.
Art, I have a wish list, and that is that that filmmakers start to realize that you would be great soundtrack material going forward, even going back to the early tunes. I just think visually, your music moves a film along, whether it's a short film or a documentary or whatever. Your music would work well with film. I'm just saying that. But what's next? All those words on paper are fine for you. When do we get to hear the songs? Where's the next album coming from?
Now we're doing the money search is beginning as we speak. So hopefully I will be recording by early spring or early spring, March, and have an album by summertime.
I'll hold you to it. Okay.
Okay.
No, but more importantly, God, take care of your body and your mind and those around you, because we love you. We love you. I'm telling you. I'm trying to tell you, we love you.
Yeah, I'm here for a couple more decades. Don't worry.
The last one standing.
Yep.
The Jerry Lee Lewis of Canadian music right here. Can you believe that Jerry Lee was the last one standing of that bunch, as hard as he lived his life?
Fuck him. Look at this. Here's my huge order of Canada pins. No, I like Jerry Lee.
Never got that.
Never. Thank you, man. I thank you both for doing this, and thank you for this read. It kept me up nights. Scared the hell out of me.
Why?
There by the grace of God go I. That's it.
Thank you,
Grace.
Terry.
There by grace go I.
Thank you, boys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Music.
Okay, we'll
Love
talk
you.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you too. We've been discussing the life and times of Art Bergman. The book is on the shelves now. It's called The Longest Suicide, the authorized biography of Art Bergman, written by Jason Schneider with a foreword by Michael Turner, who wrote Hardcore Logo. Art Bergman's on his way back and bringing his music with him. There should be a documentary soon, in the next couple of years. The tracks we played from Art Bergman were Second Amendment, Entropy, the song for Sherry called Death of a Siren, Faithlessly Yours, that last one from his 2017 album, Remember Her Name. And then next week on the Mulligan Stew podcast, Bruce Coburn and his new album, Rarities. Thank you for listening to the Mulligan Stew podcast. If you can, please subscribe on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. It'll come to you each and every week.